staff, commissioners, and our guests.
Dawn DeSorcy, staff.
Craig Brown, Commissioner.
Tom Eklund, Commissioner.
That's okay.
Oh, Ann Eggy.
Lee Town Commission.
Joe Terry, Public Works Director.
Dan McCarville with the World War I Project.
Christy Eggy.
Nick Weiss, Dynamic Business Training.
John Hickey.
Stephen Hittner.
Katrina Hittner, Lindley Went.
Yeah.
Christiana Hittner.
Okay, we'll be hearing a little bit from the little one probably throughout the meeting, huh, Kate?
Yeah, sorry. We can leave at any point.
Okay, thank you. And here comes Tom Rion. We'll fill our form here then.
I will, huh?
Actually, the mayor will.
Oh, the mayor.
Yep.
Okay, first item on the agenda here is to approve the May 14th Park and Recreation Commission minutes.
No, you're fine. No, you're fine. You're fine.
Yes, you are.
Any discussion or corrections or additions?
Move to approve.
Motion by Craig,
Second that.
second by Lee to approve the May 14th minutes. All approved signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have that. Item number 3, consider the approval of the placement of the fitness park within Demons Park. Funding to come from the monies raised by the group for the equipment and signage. Requesting city crews to complete the installation and pads as necessary. So John or Christie?
Yeah. We're all kind of around here. We're gonna basically pass out a couple of our little things here that we can look at. And we also have, so Nick here who introduced himself from Dynamic, came from Chippewa Falls. This is actually where the equipment manufactured, everything. So he's obviously driven all the way down here basically to help kind of in this decision-making process as far as where our funding is going really well. At this point, we could order the equipment. We still haven't made a final decision on some of the signage yet. We're working with Newmark, so it was more based on cost. So we actually want to get a little bit of feedback also from you guys. We have options of like wood posts with 4x4s versus bigger signs that have kind of stainless steel. So we kind of wanted to pick your brain there a little bit. But otherwise, the funding is there at least for the ordering of the equipment. And we actually just all had a little bit of a brief meeting there, kind of eyeing it out. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on down there, so pretty exciting to see all that happening. So, and also kind of talking a little bit about timelines and then maybe color options and kind of things like that, what we were also discussing. So.
And do you guys have any questions? Just, I know some folks.
It's been a little while since we've
been
been here. It's
here.
been, I think it was
Yeah.
a couple years. Was it last year or was it the year before?
Year and a half.
Maybe a year and a half.
Yeah, maybe a year and a half,
So-
yeah. Do you have questions?
And like I said, Nick is here, so he brought actually, and we brought some of the information about each of the stations. There's gonna be 8 stations. They're gonna be in concrete footings. Most of the information was already given to Joe Eichstead, so he has at least the basics of what each of the stations look like and how they're gonna be footed down into the ground there, so.
Is that all incorporated with what's happening down there now?
Yeah, so Joe shared with us a kind of a example drawing. So here's the river, and currently it'll loop underneath the expressway here, and so there's already kind of designated space for where it's proposed to be the stations for the workout park. So I can pass this around if people just want to take a look at it.
So I wasn't here last time, so I might not know all the specifics about.
So really, probably, 3 years ago, Stephen and I had both, ironically, coincidentally, gotten in touch with the mayor at about the exact same time about an outdoor fitness park. We had both been other areas. You were actually overseas somewhere. I was out in Chicago, where you go to a park and they have different exercises. I would say kids that are maybe with an adult could also participate in there, but pretty much for all ages. And so you're going to each station and you're doing mostly body weight type exercises at these stations. We approached the mayor and kind of got the ball rolling as far as starting to look at where we're gonna get funding from. So we've asked a number of companies and groups right around here. Wood Trust Foundation, Encourage Foundation, Family Natural Foods. We're still expecting to hear back from Aspirus. And then with the memorial, Wisconsin Orthopedics, and then the memorial fund from, so donation that beyond there. And then with the memorial fund for my dad's,
Is for your father.
yeah, so it would be, the kind of the part, or the fitness park would be in memory, the fitness part of it, I guess, would be in memory of Paul Egge. And then, but the donors are gonna be also recognized on the main plaque. And then at each station, you'll have instructions, a little bit of a sign that's gonna show you what to do at each station.
Yeah, so I'm the old guy and I go there and I get hurt.
We asked that question, yeah, we were like, what is that? And I think it was Joe, was it?
Or Adam
Adam
said
was- yeah.
it would fall under any other park liability,
Yeah.
essentially.
Like if you
So,
tripped on a sidewalk.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
There's
We
zero
would need,
concern liability.
we
It's
would
not
need,
any
Zero
greater,
concern?
it's not any greater liability than having a city park with a sidewalk and a patch of grass.
I think that's that recreational community or something.
Correct.
it is, but we would need to make sure that it's installed in accordance with all
Absolutely.
standards. So,
Right.
if the equipment is tall enough that fall protection is required, fall protection needs to be installed.
Correct.
If it's installed properly, then there's immunity. If it's not, then the city could still get into some trouble. So one thing we would need is an understanding of the installation requirements. Soft surfacing, how far around, those types of things. So that we'd understand if there are costs for the city, that we can get that in the form of a referral to finance.
Yep, as far as we work mostly the equipment. As far as the installation, I can give suggestions and things, but for the most part, we don't have any installation requirements just because of the variety that it gets put into. It's gonna be your crew that's actually working down there, your construction crew that's gonna be able to best determine this ground needs this type of installation there, because there's just too many variations for us to be able to say that. Typically, we just do concrete posts, just cement them right in. But if you're next to the river there, you might need to do some type of water filtration area around it with some rock and stuff like that. We wouldn't be able to say that part of it. That would have to actually be up to another party.
Okay.
So, you've installed this elsewhere, all these same concerns, that's not been an issue, or?
No, we did it at a local college at UW Eau Claire, and yeah, they just basically came in with an auger, put holes down, put the posts in, and filled concrete in, and that's where they've been for 3 years now. We're doing the same thing at Altoona, but these are all upper level, back kind of tucked in the woods. So back in the 70s, you had a lot of the fitness trails that went in, it was all made out of wood. It's a replication of that, it's kind of what's coming through. So it's being done exactly the same way. We made the equipment so that you don't have a lot of risk. There is almost zero risk of anything like slipping, breaking. You have a lot of the fitness things now today that have a lot of moving parts. We eliminated that. We don't want moving parts. That's how things break and people get hurt. So there's very limited moving parts. It's a lot of posts similar to a standard playground. So just like you'd install a standard playground, this equipment would be done the exact same way.
Who maintains it and covers that cost?
There should be little to no maintenance on it, other than a couple things here and there, but then if anything works.
So these posts you were talking about, the wood versus stainless?
Right, so
If
that's-
it was me, I'd go stainless, but
Yeah, and that's
I don't
something
know
that
who's
we're looking,
covering
we're
that.
just getting we just got that one quote back, I think, today. But that would be another good question, because, how would a 4x4 post, survive down there?
eventually.
Through the elements and everything. That area does flood, so that's been one of our considerations, that every few years some of the water can flood that area. That's why we've looked at other options besides, if we want to do a cement thing around it, around each station, or if we want to just leave it grass, or if we want to use stones, or we've explored a few of those possibilities, working with Nick and then also Adam Teagan and Joe.
Joe, I sent.
Part of it went in consideration too of, maintenance crews down there, whether they wanna mow around a little bit of a concrete slab that's maybe raised up a little bit, or in this case, they'd probably be trimming around something that's gonna be, below the ground and the grass would be right around it. So, yeah, potentially we have to put like a little bit of a covering if for trimmer, wear and tear, but that shouldn't be too big of a deal, I think, on the, at least equipment themselves, but, you're right, the wood posts on the signs would be something that we still haven't fully got that, figured out yet, so.
I do think that we're gonna have to, if the specific stations, if there's, that we should get what equipment's gonna go at each station, and then be able to run that past our insurance company. Cause I do think, things like this, while they're intended for fitness, could easily be a gymnastics, thing for kids, and you can't have concrete underneath that, that has to be soft surface, so.
Yeah.
If somebody falls, this one too, someone uses it as a jungle gym instead of a fitness activity, we just have to make sure that we're, that we're providing safe, a safe atmosphere for the installation.
And we could probably put, if there's a disclaimer or something needed to go on the sign too. Did UW Eau Claire have to put anything
On their
Eau Claire
opening signs of
students-
the trail, they do
Eau
have a
Claire
risk.
students only or
Yep.
age or anything like that?
They just have suggested ways to use it, and ways that you use it outside of that are at your own
Your own
risk.
risk,
But
okay.
similar
Yeah.
thing like we were talking before as far as the base. Typically, we're all doing it's all been mulch underneath,
Okay.
soft mulch.
Yeah.
But if it does flood out, you're gonna lose all your mulch.
You said that was UW Eau Claire?
Yep.
That's for these pictures, are from, right?
Yep. These pictures are from UW Eau Claire. Same with the local. We have an elementary school that's putting one in at the beginning of July here. Same thing. Mayo donated all of their stuff. So on the big Mayo sign in front, it just has the disclaimer on the bottom. Basically, this is here to use, but if you use it, you're using it at your own risk, kind of like if you're at a ball game kind of thing. And playground things typically too. Playground has a very similar thing. You jump on it. If you're going to start doing handstands on a monkey bars, you can go
Right.
for it, but you're
Well,
kind of doing that on your
And
own.
absolutely, we need to know about installation and the company that's going to do it or who's going to do it, and it's gotta be installed properly. But I know for a fact that these fitness courses are in a number of cities around the state. And I think, if we get those pieces clarified, i.e. what are the stations, what do they look like, what are the requirements for installation? Is there some contractors for installation that we use? Is the city gonna install these things?
I would anticipate that the city would do the install. But again, the cost for the install needs to go through the finance committee, and
Right, so we gotta know exactly what
it'd
we're
be a
doing.
big difference if it's just a sonotube and some concrete.
Yeah.
No big deal, but if all of a sudden we're looking at a, 10 by 10, soft surface facility, that changes things quite a bit. So it's just understanding the scope is all.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely part of the master plan of the park. I mean, park was designed for this, so.
And when we met with Joe and Adam, I think 2 weeks ago, we did talk about how it's gonna be a little bit more industrial look down there, and so we were thinking signage, we might want signage to reflect that as well, and go with the metal or the steel versus the wood as well, so that's what we got, updated quotes on that. Would be longer lasting.
And for clarity's sake, you raised all the dollars for the equipment.
Yes.
Okay.
And enough to cover, most of the signs, unless we go we still have we're working those numbers out a little bit yet, so. But the equipment could get, ordered as.
We potentially still are, if people are interested in donating, we're just, firming up our sign cost. We might need a little extra funding to go with the more industrial signs, the steel signs cost more than the wood. But we will know that, so we can share that, we'll know that after, we just got signed quotes last night from the company. So we just have to run the numbers, and we wanted to make sure it was approved moving forward before but we can,
VNLMS and VFW.
would be maybe interested? Wonderful, okay, I'll get your contact info and we'll get in touch. Yeah.
So I'm sure one of you guys can supply to, who needs to get it, the schematics for these installations so that it can go to finance? What's the next step? Where do we go?
I think just, you could drop it off with myself or Joe Aikstead up in engineering, and
Okay.
we can run that through, because I oversee public works operations. I can talk to our street department staff and, analyze the installation costs. If we do have to put soft surface down, we can, explore what those cost would be, and I do think too that, it'd be good to have a review of the proposed signs to make sure that the signs are consistent with the, you know, with the theme of the park or whatever, you know, so that,
Sure.
I think that'd be a,
Would we go, cause we had asked Adam and Joe about that too. a couple
yeah,
weeks ago, so
I think you could get that to me. I think the mayor would wanna have some input on that.
Sure.
And, yeah, get all that stuff to me and I can disperse it out to the different staff members for review.
And then come back to this committee and then to finance, or what's the?
Yeah, can we approve pending that now, or is it after the
You're
fact?
supposed to finance and council? Would it be 3 steps?
Well,
I'm thinking the Park and Rec Commission has control and jurisdiction over the park outlay funds.
Right.
So I would think that maybe action today would be to proceed and then maybe a not to exceed amount on installation so we can keep it moving. I don't know if it needs to go to finance.
okay.
It's really the Park and Rec Commission has the final say.
So.
Do we have any idea what installation might
Yeah,
cost?
what's the not exceed amount?
10 million.
So move.
I don't know what's available.
What was the question?
What funding's available?
Yeah, and what might that amount be for installation? How do we determine that?
Do you have experience with?
Yes, but doing trails. So usually the trail is part of it, so that adds on a lot of the cost. So like actually building the trail and stuff. So we haven't done any with just the installation of the equipment. Usually like I've outsourced people to put it in and they were building the trail with it. So I wouldn't be able to tell you what the actual installation part of it was. The whole trail build, I can give you that kind of estimation, but that's obviously inflated.
Mayor, do you have a handle on the funds available and what might be reasonable to set a cap at?
I thought there was a couple $100,000. I asked a question at our last meeting. So I think I would make a motion to approve the placement of the stations. I'm thinking personally that we want to do wood chips and not concrete. We can certainly check with the insurance for liability purposes of the other installation methods, but I think let's proceed with something that's fairly low cost. The labor would be already allocated, so I don't think we need to cover the cost directly out of the fund for that necessarily, but any material costs would come out of there. Maybe a not to exceed $5,000, I don't know. Just put that out there, see where others feel.
Yeah, the only issue with wood chips is that anytime we have any type of a flood event in the park, those will be washed away likely. So we may have to look at a synthetic soft surface.
Or even maybe a pea gravel like we do at like that little kayak launch down by Ben Hansen.
Yeah, well, I think that might work for a number of the stations, but anything that's, and I forget what the threshold height is, if it's 5 feet or whatever, it's probably going to require soft surface.
Well, as another idea, I don't know, I'd be interested in your input, but could you do this as like a 2-stage thing? Like maybe you keep it as grass for the first season or two. If it starts to get beat up and the grass doesn't look good, could you come back in and fill in with whatever,
If I'll have to see if grass meets the state standard for fall protection, then absolutely.
Yeah, and that might be the minimal, that would obviously be the cheapest option.
Right.
And we can always go to plan B or C if plan E doesn't work in the grass scenario, just as an idea. But I don't know if you can retrofit this as easily. Do you have any thoughts on doing grass and then coming back and having to do concrete?
No, once it's in, it's a solid post. You can dig around it and put in whatever you need later.
Okay, so it shouldn't be too hard to.
And I don't know how often
hypothetically,
does that flood down there.
once a year, probably.
Every
It does?
couple years probably, yeah.
Well, I think if you're doing wood chips, you're gonna be replacing them constantly.
Yeah. We gotta use pea gravel in our playground over at St. Mary.
Don't you still have a kind of the similar problem though, or no?
I don't think that's
With water?
worse.
No?
No.
That'll stay?
And well, in that location too, there's no velocity, even when it is
Oh,
flowing.
it just floats up and then floats down, you're saying?
Yeah,
Oh.
there's a little velocity, but not enough that's gonna move
I got you.
the pea gravel around. Yeah, for anything that's low to the ground, I think grass is fine. Anything taller than that, again, I don't think pea gravel meets that standard for that fall protection standard. But again, I may be barking up the wrong tree. This type of equipment may not require it. I'll have to do a little research.
I think it does with certain heights as you indicate, but when all of the ones that I've seen, there is nothing comprehensive as far as fall protection is concerned.
Okay.
Zero, like wood chips at most is all that I've ever seen. But I would imagine that there should be the caveat of proper use.
Right.
You know, if that disclaimer is placed, because, I mean, people make poor choices sometimes. But Zach, when you're talking about the $5,000 installation, that would be for materials, you know, not, clearly not equipment, but for things like wood chips, pea gravel, soft surface, or whatever.
Correct.
No,
Yep,
and
any
not
of the prep
labor.
work. Labor would be already allocated
It's
from our
fixed
park
already.
staff, so I wouldn't consider that included in the, cost.
And you made a motion already?
Yes,
That's
you did.
correct.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion made by Mayor Verwink, seconded by Craig, to approve the purchase of the equipment and to start the process, but I'm missing the cap, $5,000 for a $5,000 cap on the layment underneath the equipment. Does that, everybody understand? Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it.
I don't have the handout. What was the cost of the station?
22,500, including the sign.
Well, that's not true. Actually, we got the updated. Yeah, that one. Sorry, that one. One of these we were pulling off. Just the stations themselves is.
This is 15.
Yeah, it'll be, so the stations, we had those signages kind of marked up on there, I think. Nope, we didn't have those on there. So the ones that they selected on there is gonna be just under 10,000 with
For the station.
give or
Yeah.
take rate.
And then we did get at the last meeting, we did get the tax exempt number, I believe, so that helped some. And then I think the freight cost was.
The freight's gonna vary, that's the toughest part, is just getting it down here. It's gonna be a couple $100 difference here and there, but for the most part, that 10,000 is pretty much a coverage of it.
Yep, just for the equipment, for the 8 stations, yep.
The only thing that would change it is kind of what we were talking about before, and you alluded to before, is the, with the posts, is your finish. So how it's gonna get beat up and things like that, if you guys decide we gotta make this thing, you know, bomb-proof and we wanna galvanize it, that would be the only cost difference.
I would just go maintenance free if it was me.
That would be like a galvanized. That would be an added cost, but if you do it in our standard, these units have been out there for 3 years as of these pictures. So if you anticipate somebody coming down there, scratching them, hitting them with stuff, or they're gonna get damaged and stuff when the paint goes off, that's where maintenance comes in. But it would only be if people are intentionally taking the paint down to the steel. Otherwise, it's like a playground, same thing. Unless somebody's out there actually
Right.
gashing it, a playground sits around for 20 years before you see real damage.
What's galvanizing cost? What's the difference?
Typically $1 per pound of the equipment, so a significant cost.
Okay.
I know we had our approval already, but Christie does have a couple of questions yet, so.
So we have paint chip options, and we wanna just get feedback from you guys and see what your thoughts are.
I have the actual chips, I didn't, they're out in my truck.
Oh, that's okay, and we do have these too, so it's up to if you want, guys want.
If you guys want, because we have 2 different finishes. There is a glossy finish and then there's a textured finish. The textured finish is more durable, but it'll be like like we were saying, during pollen season and stuff, it is a texture, so you're gonna get a lot more dirt and pollen stuff that's gonna stick on there. The glossy shows more scratches and stuff, but it also is glossy. That's typically like your traditional playground is gonna have that glossy equipment.
And we had some conversation about recommendations from our small group, was that we thought it would be nice if they at least were all consistent. Some places do different colors and it looks like a rainbow, but we were thinking it maybe neat if it was just consistent. And the other thought or conversation I wanted to have was around timeline. What our timeline potentially would be if possible, and what your guys' timeline, what you're thinking for installation and ordering when we could get the stuff. So I know you already made a motion. I apologize. I shouldn't have
Well,
done the
the
discussion.
bad part is the installation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
I think the limiting factor is get information, you know, to him and get ability to problem solve and.
Yeah, I would anticipate that if we had everything that we needed, you know, mid to late July would be probably a good installation time. Just because grass isn't growing as much then. We've got, you know, we can more likely to be able to allocate staff time to work on it. Maybe, you know, July through mid-August, and then it's pretty tight through, you know, through September. So it'd be a fall install otherwise, I think.
Okay.
But there's a possibility, I mean, I haven't talked to my Parks and Street Department heads. You know, we could possibly put a crew together and get it done sooner too. It just kind of depends on how our projects are working out. And
When will that work be done down there that's going on?
well, they're working from south to north. I think, from my understanding of the project, I think a lot of the trail paving and things like that should be done late July. So it's likely that we could,
Just time at the same time.
Do
Same
them.
concrete time.
yeah.
I mean, that would be
Well,
efficient.
we have to stay out of the contractor's way though. That's a contract project, so we need to kind of let them
Finish.
get done or be able to coordinate with them.
Yeah.
For our staff to get in there, you know, on their construction sites.
It'd be nice to have it timed the same. Finish though.
Part of it would be with Dynamics' ability to manufacture it too, and that's where you thought maybe even if it were to be ordered this week, it would be closer to August.
Yeah, more that third, fourth week of August, and then since it is awkward equipment, when it gets shipped, if you guys would have timing or something like that, where you have to kind of gather your labor to be right about then, finding the freight to get it there exactly at that morning or something like that you need it would be really tough. It'd be one of those things where you'd want to probably get it down there unloaded within a couple days of when you're going to do it, so that you're not trying to time up a truck. That never works.
Is there assembly required?
There is some bolting and some assembly. We have changed it. It was all welded, which was shipped horribly.
Yeah,
so we
right.
bolted. We added bolting.
Sure.
Typically 6 to 8 bolts each piece.
Okay. Yeah, so a few hours really to install each.
Yeah, we're planning to do
Section
the elementary school one where they're doing 7 of these pieces. We're planning to do that in about 4 hours.
Okay.
So back to this, did you have a recommendation from your group?
So really the main thing that we were thinking was all one color, but open to what you guys were thinking. And I think there was a few color ideas that were thrown out. Maybe, I think Ann maybe had an, wait, did you have one you were thinking of? Or?
I was the multicolored.
You're the multicolored. Oh, you got vetoed by our group. So she wasn't there when
She's already vetoed.
The group from color.
Well, and we can, if you guys don't have a problem with the
We
the
can
color,
determine
then we
that.
can still,
talk about
as
it.
long as we have your
deliberate,
blessing to
let you guys know.
meet again.
We have
any
250
problem
other
with
colors than that. If you guys really need different ones, those are several.
We like suggestions
like
of
this
making
color
bright,
is,
because we thought that would be kind of
Color.
catchy,
Isn't it
but
bright?
also
You
it's
see it when you're
nice.
driving by,
And maybe
it
the
draws
earth
attention.
tones would be kind of a calming down there, and that would be kind of nice too. I mean, so we're looking at it
That's
from
where we're
all
going.
angles. And then we thought, well, if we have Raider red, then we gotta, we don't wanna, then Royal blue
Yeah.
and whatever's orange, so we thought we might have to stay away from school colors. So we're
I
really
think that-
thinking.
Or you could go
We
with school
want-
color.
Or we could go with school colors, that's very
I
true
think you
too,
can
so-
obviously see that color though.
Yeah, and it's, and I do like that yellow one too.
So when you're going by, I mean, you wouldn't see
Boom,
red
it's there
very
and-
easily. Not that it
The yellow
matters.
one, but draws your
Yeah.
attention there,
Is that like
kind
the
of.
same as Gallery?
I don't care.
Yeah,
It's
so.
a lot of the thought process you want to think through it too. If you make a lot of bright colors, people think playground, you might have people playing on it more. That's the other side too, is if you make it look like a playground, they might play on it.
I think if you're donating the equipment, I think you could choose the color, that's my opinion,
Yeah,
but
I agree with that.
it's only one.
Fair enough, all right, thank you. Great.
Was there another question that she had?
Christie, was that it, Christie, for your questions?
Just timeline of colors.
Color's up to you.
Timeline. Colors up to, well, I'll let Ann, I'll let.
Except for her.
Yeah. I think that's it. So
So, yeah.
we're just thankful, excited.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting us project
Great
happen.
project.
Exciting.
Yeah, thank you.
Fun to see
Yeah.
the dirt thrown around down there and everything, so stuff's moving, that's awesome. Very cool.
Yeah, this is cool.
So are there 3 paths gonna go down there? Is that how, 3 paths and a driving? Is that, we're just standing out there right before we met here.
We didn't know if there were changes in this, because we
Yeah,
were
that's how
standing
we
right
were
by
still kinda
this
trying to
one.
eye out this spot. I think
Oh,
we're
no, I'm sorry,
standing-
so two paths plus the driveway.
This one, and then
Oh,
the
2
drive,
paths.
okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
the,
That one got canceled.
nope, that one is in.
Oh, that one is?
Yeah, by the hospital.
At the very end,
So
okay.
it's modified a little bit from that one, but there is a path on the north end.
Yeah.
And that's there, essentially because we believe that as people use the path and they wanna get up
Yeah.
they're just gonna take the grass otherwise. So we
Sure.
wanted to get something on
Yeah,
the north
okay.
end of the park.
Yeah.
The one at the south end of the park is full ADA compliant.
Oh, okay. Cool.
And then of course you can cross under the bridge, so.
Nice.
Yeah, perfect.
Great.
Exciting to see.
Excited.
Thank you all.
Yep, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you, Hurricane.
Thank you.
See you later, sorry about all the noisemaker over there.
It's all right.
Thank you.
Okay, we move on to item number 4. This has been here a few times. A request from Tom Sachs to move Memorial Rock from Veterans Park to the West Side flagpole location. So now Dan is here, Tom is back, so we probably can put this one away tonight.
Thanks, Vic.
So, Mayor, you probably remember, we were originally approached by John Decora from Green Bay, and he's part of the Ho-Chunk Nation. And he wanted to add a memorial to describe the World War I boulder better. And I think the donators of the park, Veterans Park, said no more above-ground structures. So that's when Tom said, well, what if we moved it back to its original location by the flagpole on the west side of the river? And, you know, the Ho-Chunk Nation was all in favor of that. And they worked with Hartle Monuments to form or produce this auxiliary monument to describe the boulder. And it consists of granite and then a bronze plaque on the granite along with 2 porcelain or ceramic circles that have, one circle would have the Ho-Chunk insignia, one would have the Army, the modern Army logo, and then the bronze plaque would describe the boulder and have the Red Arrow Division as a big part of that World War I boulder. So Tom has a picture of the granite portion.
Basically what,
Oh, okay.
you guys wanna look at it, or? Please.
And the color would be to complement the boulder. You can pass that around. That granite comes from the Dakotas, the front polished side. And the boulder is kind of brown in color. And so that complements the boulder in color. And the bronze, of course, is bronze in color, and the ceramics would be, you know, the multicolored Ho-Chunk insignia, and then the Army logo is mainly black and yellowish gold. So,
What are the dimensions on the proposed monument?
the base of the auxiliary monument would be 4 feet wide, 14 inches front to back, 6 inches high. And then the slant portion on top of the base would be 3.5 feet wide, 10 inches front to back, 1 foot 4 inches high. And then the foundation in the ground that you'd only see the top of the foundation would be 5 feet wide by 22 inches front to back and 4 inches deep into the ground.
I guess a concern I have and had when we first talked about this with John was this new monument really overshadowing the size of that memorial boulder. And so personally, I would support anything that is larger than the memorial boulder in size. I don't know how other commissioners feel about it, but that's my opinion.
I'm sorry, Mary, you would want it smaller than the boulder, right?
That's right.
That's correct.
Okay, yes, and this definitely would be. The boulder is probably a total of, I'm guessing, it's probably 6 feet wide by 4 feet tall. No?
I don't think it's any
I think it's fairly small.
Okay,
Yeah, I think
but
it's-
certainly, the boulder is certainly taller than this, because this only totals, let's see, 16 and 6, this only totals 22 inches tall. So the boulder's a lot taller than that.
but I don't think it. 'Cause it's only.
So would the plaque and the logos be more appropriate on more of a sign type feature? Or, you know, where it's more of a descriptive sign versus a monument?
Personally, I think it looks better on the monument.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm not sure what material you could use to mount two different, you know, you got ceramic and bronze. And this would be, the proposal is that the ceramics would actually be recessed into the granite. So they'd be protected. And then the bronze attached similar to a cemetery where it's mounted with blind screws or, you know, hidden bolts from the back.
So what's the orientation of this? Where's the boulder in relation to the monument?
That could be.
I mean, you wouldn't want it probably in front because
Right,
you obscure the.
To be determined.
Put them next to each other.
Side by side.
Side by side was the plan.
So you're probably covering 10 or 12 feet wide, something like that, if they're side by side, or something to that.
Yeah,
effect.
yeah, I would say you're right.
Cause that's how long, 5 feet?
The foundation would be 5 and the base would be 4.
And again, if you want, I could go get the measurements of the boulder.
And this assumes it's going back on the west side, right, which we've kind of.
I never thought to ask, Elks Club doesn't have any say-so in the matter, do they? Or do they? Cause, they, I don't know, they take care of the flagpole. I know we have first we're gonna have a ceremony down there for Flag Day ceremony. Elks takes care of that, so I don't know if they have any say in the matter as far as putting the stuff over there. I never thought to ask before about it, but I don't think they do.
I don't know, it's your question, I don't know.
No, I think, I say
Could
we have our
be.
flag ceremony down there, or they have the flag ceremony, and I just bring all the veteran organizations down there for it. But, as I had mentioned it to one of the members there, and they, well, of course, they didn't say nothing about it, so.
It'd be common courtesy to ask them, just.
Sure. Is there anybody, I mean, being new, is there anybody that would, can we identify anybody that would get overly worked up with this boulder being moved? I mean, is this, you know what I mean? The law of unintended consequences, you have a really good idea.
Like I say,
We did get
You know what I'm
correspondence
saying?
from the Ottawa
It's always
chapter,
Well-
they were opposed to this.
Who's that, Zach?
I've got a letter in my office, from a group that was originally responsible, the Daughters of the American Revolution group. I'll have to find that correspondence. I know I've got it. And they were semi-opposed, I would say. It wasn't real strong, I believe, or consensus from the whole group, but there was some opposition to it.
Okay.
But not to say that I think if the plan was put together and put in front of them, that maybe they could get behind it if they understood exactly what they're doing.
Sure.
But the option is you can't add the monument in its current location, right? I think that's where we're at.
That's the problem.
well, I guess you can if you want.
correct.
You can just oversee Sue. She's the only one that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much influence she has on that. I know when, I talked to her about it, and when I told her about putting it over there, of course, she was opposed to it.
Yeah.
So this, we're
But
all.
then we would be introducing consequences. I don't know if it's a big deal to move it.
I don't either.
But like I say, as far back, well, when I was a little kid, that was over there.
You said it was there once
It was on
before.
the west side to start with.
I can remember what was there, yeah.
But the other Tom's probably the oldest one here, but.
Not that far back. Yeah, I remember it being over there.
But because it being Veterans Park, they moved it over to Veterans
Yeah.
Park and. But, I guess, like, moving it back over there and again, I don't know the size of this, like I said, the boulder itself, this would be bigger than the boulder.
With what?
I disagree.
That boulder's only,
Yeah.
it's that big.
But that's what, 4 feet, and then this would be certainly this isn't as tall.
No.
Because this is only 2 feet tall, or less than 2 feet, 22 inches tall.
So you're looking at that,
Yeah, yeah, width might be similar. Yeah.
But it's side by side, so
Mhm.
if it was in front of it, that'd be a little bit different. So, I don't know.
I mean, do you make the approval, or, I mean, is that all cut in stone? Is that all made?
The granite is made,
Oh, it is.
but that doesn't mean anything. The bronze has not been cast and the ceramics haven't been fired.
I'm just saying, could this be approved, with the monument not exceeding 3/4, for instance, 3/4 the size of the boulder, or something like that, you know?
I don't know.
The size is really
It'd be easier
relative there
if
too,
so,
because if
but
you're
you don't want
talking,
it bigger,
surface
I mean-
area, you're talking width. It's pretty relative, you're comparing two very differently shaped, items, you know, and with a monument, you know, the foundation is larger than the base, for good reason. The base is larger than the die. You know, when you.
Slant in this case, just
Slant,
slant.
okay.
Yeah.
You know, the focus is on the slant, it's not gonna be on the base or the foundation.
It doesn't sound like the monument is gonna diminish the boulder, to me.
No.
I don't think so.
So there was no rendering of this to the donors, or they just wanted to do something?
The concept was rendered to the Ho Chunk Nation, you mean?
Yeah, I mean, they came, right, wanting to add this, but they didn't have a vision of what this was to look like, or?
This was.
Cause I've never seen a picture.
Yeah, and
I don't think I've seen a picture.
because there's nothing like it finished, but,
The monument.
Tom has,
As far as the monument part, that basically.
Yeah, that, but I mean, with the boulder.
With the boulder, like I said, you know, we didn't have
So
it
there was
together. so you-
nothing
no,
side
you
by
couldn't have-
side.
Like an architectural rendering of.
Correct.
You know,
Like I said, if
what
you
it's-
look on the boulder, like I say, there's what, 2 decoras that are named on the boulder?
something like that.
So they were only interested so much in
Right.
the monument itself.
Yeah, I should've,
No, that's
I could've
okay.
had them somewhere together, but
I mean, I just would have thought they would be interested in what this looks like when it's all done. But
So we're going to, this is the talk about the movement of whether whether we want that stone moved to the flagpole. Where exactly are we gonna move it to? I think, that, we can't just throw it in front of the flag and then put a stone next to it. Where,
it's a little bit south of the flagpole itself, I think, is where it originally was. If anybody remembers that, but.
It's just in the grass.
So if we approve the movement of the rock, would we still have option to approve of where the placement of the stone and the rock goes? Or once we say go ahead and move it, you just move it to wherever?
No, you would obviously have to direct us, or not us, but direct, yeah.
Like I say, I think anywhere a little bit south of the flagpole itself, because when they have the ceremony, it's right by the flag, or behind the flagpole, and that's where we do when they place the other flags there for it, so anything just a little bit south of it, to the right of the flagpole would be, I don't think that'd be any problem there.
Like 10 feet or 10 feet or so?
That would be,
What we could do is go flag a potential location.
Yeah.
Announce to the commission that it's flagged.
I'll go take a look.
Go take a look and then come back at the next meeting and make a final decision if you wanna wait that long. But I do think it'd be important to have a good understanding of what
where
what
everything
it's,
goes.
where everything's gonna go, so if there is questions or there is any, complaints generated, at least you had the opportunity to decide, well, this makes sense and this is why we wanna put it where we wanna put it.
So help me, who's the right entity to decide what's the right place? I mean, I'll go back to the previous discussion where these stations are going. I mean, who decided where those are going?
Well, I would think, that it'd be nice to have staff at least give it a nod as far as, maintenance issues. If all of a sudden we can't mow there, we have to string trim everything because the location of everything is so close to something that we can't get a, not to say that has to have a final bearing on the selection of the location, but it'd be nice to, I would like to be able to have the park staff, at least take a look at it.
Which is what I would have expected you to say, so.
Or maybe put even a pad to set that stuff on.
Sure.
The problem with that, I believe the bottom of the boulder is irregular shaped. So
Sitting in the ground for a reason.
Yeah.
Makes
If you
sense.
set it on a pad, I think it would.
You could, guaranteed somebody will try to push it down into the river.
Sure.
You can do it when the cement's wet. When the cement's wet, you could do it.
Then it's not going anywhere.
Somebody wants to try and move it the way it is.
Well, I mean, I personally, you could show me that and I wouldn't know if that's the right place or not, so that's why I asked the question. But it seems to me that the donors, I mean, are they just accepting where we're putting it, or do they wanna have a say in that, and then check with the Elks here on this flag
I
business?
think they would be comfortable anywhere near the original location, Tom,
Nothing my understanding of it.
and whatever is recommended and approved, they would be happy with it.
I would agree with Joel, if you want your staff to look at that and plot that out for your concerns, mowing, trimming, things, and then.
And where it probably looks good.
With the given dimensions, I think, we need a kind of a
Well,
visual.
just like a rendering, like Tom was
Yeah.
saying before with the stone and the memorial. I mean, do you have the capability of doing that on a computer? I certainly don't.
Yes, we could.
Okay, and then just let us look at
And
it.
we could even do it in relationship to the flagpole if you want to see. We could, incorporate that into the
I
drawing.
think that would be helpful.
That would be
Okay.
very helpful.
Sure. Sure.
That'd be good.
Sure. But first, why don't you kind of see where you recommend, and then we can render it so you don't have to use your resources for that.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay.
So you wanna wait for that
Okay, let's-
before?
Okay,
Okay.
one more
Next
meeting
time.
then, and we'll take care of it next meeting.
Yeah, so it sounds like what we'll do is, Dan and I will, evaluate potential locations. And then we can get an email notice off to all of you, so we'll have it flagged so that you can go take a look at it.
Okay.
And then at the next meeting, you can decide if that
Is what we want.
seems to work.
Okay,
Does that sound?
that's good. Is that okay with you, Mayor?
That was yes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
good. Okay. All right. So it's tabled.
I
Sorry.
get paid by the hour, so I don't care.
Alrighty.
Now we're closer, but.
Yeah.
It's all about incremental change.
So we should hear about the Elks and, all those
No,
items
you can
next
have
time,
it.
just so,
I think I had one from,
just be courtesy.
Just so I who's checking with the Elks? Are we?
I think it's just the
I
city.
got,
don't know if the Elks has
we
any
got
say.
Thursday night, we couldn't, come
I
down.
don't think they do.
There, you're all invited to the flag ceremony down at Veterans Park, or at, West Side Riverbank,
On Thursday?
6:00. I think we get 10 people that show up for it.
Okay, we move to item number 5. Bill, or Tom, have you looked at the bills?
I have, it's,
Thanks.
$7,643.96. There's really two main items, $3,000 for fencing at the zoo and $2,100 for floor covering or that overcoat at Robinson Park in the baths.
Okay.
That's 2,100, so those two items make up the majority of the expense. Yeah, the rest are just little one-offs here. You want me to
Sure.
move to approve?
Second.
If you would. Motion by Tom, second by Tom, to approve the bills. Motion made by Tom Eklund, seconded by Tom Rio.
Tom thought officially in the meeting.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
okay,
we had asked,
Because we have 5.
we'll have somebody else do it.
Well, I'll second that.
okay, seconded by Lee. To approve the bills, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Okay, Matt and Mary aren't here, but do you have something from Mary or Matt on the
Joe,
staff?
did you have
Staff report?
Matt's staff report? I have a
I do not.
copy. I didn't actually make copies because it was just a quick email that he sent. If you want me to, I can forward it to you. Otherwise, I can read everything on it. It's up to you.
Let's just read it
Okay.
for the record.
Sprinkler systems are on, repaired with the exception of Witter Field. There was a pump failure that will require a well driller and broken feed lines to outfield that need repair by our staff. The splash pad is open, operational with the exception of the jets that are part of the race feature. There's a broken line that will be addressed by the installer. Bathroom interior painting is complete at Robinson Park and bathrooms there are open. Summer help is trickling in and are being used for string trimming and mowing at this time. 3 to 4 mowers are being dispatched most days to try to catch up with Park Boulevard mowing. Grass complaints are starting to come in private property. Zoo is operational, open. Bathrooms at Witter Warming have been prepped, open for skate park use.
And our vandalism free.
So far.
And that was a good idea you had.
As of
It
last
was.
week.
It was. Yep.
We'll see what happens.
And then I don't know, this is expressway project for butterfly habitat. Mowing experiment has started.
Yeah, so if you look on the expressway, just east of the hospital, you can see some strips up there, and that was a request made by a group to establish a butterfly habitat and to alleviate some of the responsibilities of mowing and try to use our staff a little better. We're looking at not mowing parts of the grass along the expressway. We'll have it mowed tight next to the road back behind that first row of trees, but then the embankment itself we're gonna let go and see how that, if we get a lot of complaints, we'll just see how it looks and kind of evaluate it.
Yeah, so how do you know if it works or not?
Well, the flowers and things that they're planting.
That you know, but what about the butterflies?
They'll be there.
Yeah, if the plants take, they'll
High ground there,
be there.
it's high and dry and.
Who's planting it?
It's a group.
Oh, they're gonna go ahead and take care of it.
Yep. And it is, you can see it's taken care of. We asked them to do it in strips so that we avoid, erosion. We didn't set up an erosion control system other than kind of the strips. And they're not very wide, like 24 inches wide and a 12-inch gap or something like that. So.
Okay.
Are you worried about getting in your car grill? Is that what you're concerned with?
No.
It's actually up high too.
No,
on
it's
the
just,
strip.
if that's the intent, then,
make
how do you
sure-
measure it's successful or not, that's all.
We're gonna go out there and catch butterflies.
Here we go.
Get some nets.
So when they have the 4th of July fireworks and everybody goes sitting down there.
Mosquitoes and wood ticks.
Just
And butterflies.
The only other item he had was new perimeter fence on last structure at zoo is complete. And then Mary provided a written report, which you should have. If you need a copy, I've got other ones also.
Was it in the kind of?
It's the last page of your copy.
Tom, did you want a copy?
Right in
You
here?
got, yep,
Yep.
that's the one.
I'm gonna sign off, guys, so have a good evening.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, guys. Yep, bye.
No.
That's it. Did staff reports. Oh, I'm
okay,
sorry, did you?
Was that it from that stuff?
That was it for
All right,
Matt's, and then Mary had
a little
given the
thing back
written
here.
report.
Okay.
So, let's see here. I think that's everything.
Okay, so Mary's report here, what, the zoo opened their schedule, on Memorial Day, and there was some difficulty of staffing. How about did Matt and everybody find enough people for all the positions that we talked about? the last
We are
meeting?
just one short, but we're okay.
Okay.
Did you get a couple of high school kids after I rattled their cages a little bit?
We
or
did
no?
get a couple.
Okay, I
I
see
don't
there
know
was-
where it came from, but yeah, we got a couple of them.
Yeah, I don't need to take credit for it.
That's all right, you can.
I see there was some difficulty in the staffing while school was in session, due to college employees and student teaching, and adult sub with health concerns unable to assist. We are hosting a color contest for the month of June, story time Thursday mornings in July, along with Down on the Farm program on August 2nd, okay. And summer programs began this week and continue through the summer. And there are 135 children in the summer baseball program, that's T-ball and pitch ball. And then the new Mead Splash Pad activity, co-sponsored with Macmillan Library, story and activity time, Monday, June 18th from 1 till 2:30. And first of two being offered, and the theme is Science of Sound. So, signed, I love sports. Mary. Okay, I guess those are the staff reports. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
Motion by Lee.
Second.
Second by Craig to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you everyone for coming, and public viewers as well.